started. Gundam fight all set. Ready? Go!
Well, hello folks and welcome. Another weekend has come and gone. We've begun to settle into the week for Monday. Had a little freak out there where I thought I was muted. But guys, it is time for the Mechpit chat, and I am your host Ironcaster here to help get you set up for the week. Oh, it's just and happy St. Patrick's Day out there to everyone, by the way. I know a lot of you have probably gone out and had your celebrations, had your fun, but don't forget you still gotta wake up tomorrow. So it is as fun as it is to go out and have a beer or two or five, and see to it that your tongue is looking about as green as the carpet. You gotta remember to drink responsibly, folks. Make sure you take care of yourself. Be good to yourselves. And, remember, today everyone is Irish, so be sure to go ahead and have a little bit of fun. Where's the green? Well, little secret there. I kind of out of green screen, so it's all green. It's all that green purple and that green blue. The socks are green. The underwear is green. It's all green, but you may not recognize it from the backdrop here, but so I'm afraid I can't do too much. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and bear with all of the suffering of the punches because I just can't go ahead and prove it. It was, all things considered, it was a pretty good little weekend for me. Went ahead and got some extra work in. I, just kept trying to make that money so I can go fund yet another hobby that I've suddenly decided I want to go check out. I'm like, why, yes, a 3D printer is, of course, the perfect thing that I should be picking up right now. This in addition to everything else I've been doing. As I finally got the first thing printing. I can still kind of smell the resin from the other room. And, hey, I've got to make that money. I got to go fund the new hobby. I've got to go make lots and lots of little, more miniatures that I'm totally going to paint one of these days. Fingers crossed. It's, it's one of those things where I kind of have to stop and think to myself, right? Maybe I need to focus a little bit more on some of the hobbies I've already have. Maybe I need to, take a little stock of myself, of what I've already kind of committed to, and not quickly jump into the next hobby because I had a sudden, chance of fancy. I've got a Gundam kit or two here that I really need to get to building, but anyway, it has been pretty good. And hey there, Comic Relief Crusader. Welcome. Happy St. Patrick's Day, guys. How we all doing out there? We're a little low-key. Just kind of chilling out, rocking out. And yeah, it is good. How's everyone doing out there? Have you guys gone ahead and had yourself some fun for today? Because I was about as bold as going to go ahead and, I don't know, I went to Dairy Queen. Patties, long time no see, my friend. And what do you know? All this connection stuff works. We're live over on X. We are live on YouTube. I think we should be live on Rumble, but I don't know for sure if that one's actually working or not. I can't say. I have a Historic Preservation Commission mission. Now, are we covering all the history that happened for the 1-year war, my friend? Are we going to make sure we never forget truly everything that happened from Operation British, the colony drops? Because that's history I never want to forget. I need a clip of that, by the way. Huh. Maybe I should clip that. But anyway, that Yet again, one more thing to throw on the list. So, things are going pretty good. Uh, and it really doesn't feel like we're, halfway through March, tax starting to get filed. And yet, I'm already kind of over here off to the side looking and thinking, hey, what's coming up for the next season of anime? You know, I I got a couple of the shows that I enjoy that have kind of either wrapped up or have like an episode or two left, so it's time to start looking ahead and just having to make sure that we kind of keep ourselves on a nice little schedule because you know it's so easy. I find you gotta make sure you don't wind up getting too distracted, getting too pulled in too many directions. You just go a little crazy. You start getting a little stir crazy. You're like, "Argh!" But it's one of it's a little challenge. It's trying to find that right balance, and it's one of those little struggles that you got to make sure we keep an eye out for. But you know what, guys, I'm kind of rambling here. Uh, why don't we go ahead and get into a little something? Because let me see. Let's start out with something a little lighthearted. You know, got to make sure we get everyone get a little laugh. So there's a few things in life I love quite as much as a nice snack. We love our food. We love learning about it all, and we always love learning a new trick or two and learning something new. So
This is the Carolina Reaper chili. It's the world's hottest chili. And I'm wearing gloves right now because all of that heat, well, it comes from these seeds right here. Now, I just came back from Beast where they held Melbourne's annual chili eating competition. And competitors had to compete eating these, chili.
oh no, it was in that moment he knew he fucked up. Yeah, you see these things, you're like, I gotta make sure I gotta pocket that because we gotta make sure we share the pain. And I don't mean the pain of a nice new shark movie to share with everyone out there. Why, Pops, I know when you see this, you're gonna be thinking about all the shark movies. And don't worry, Shark Week is coming. But oh no, we've this year we've decided what am I talking about here? No, no, no. So I love to pick nothing but the finest of quality films and share them with friends because it's a bonding experience. Just kind of like you're like, oh, shark movies all in my face. Oh, just like peppers. You, it always brings a tear to my eye. But apparently, I've traumatized a person or two with some of these choices of shark films, and look, they never will let me answer never they will never let me answer the question. How would a shark wear a Santa hat? Does he wear it on the top of his head or on the fin? These are the questions we have to go unanswered. Or if in fact Sharkula is a good movie. Uh, no, apparently this summer we're going to be going for something a little bit different. And the choice of films this year is going to be The Summer of Sandler because I love a good gimmick. And I am trying to convince them that we need to do the full gambit of the Adam Sandler films. So we need to start with the early stuff, the early career where he's kind of like getting on his feet. That early stuff where Adam Sandler's kind of getting into the golden era. We get to that peak. We get to the schlock. Like I see why people hate Adam Sandler movies. Why they got such a bad reputation. And then we got to finish off with something a little more recent. We're him kind of coming back to his senses. Like there's a story arc here, and we love to have these sort of rise and fall. This rise, this crash, and the redemption story of someone who's kind of coming back to their senses. It would be kind of like if you wanted to do Jim Carrey and you wanted to kind of and you really wanted to hit all the hit stuff like Ace Ventura and but then you wanted to skip like the weird stuff he did like 1408 or the number 23 and then go straight to Sonic. It's like no, there's an arc here we need to go through. If we're talking about an actor's career, you got to make sure you want to really get the full stretch of it. There's so many places you can go. Why we should go into the low lows. Let's see. I had that every day, so it's not as big for me. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you, by the way, listless. How are you doing up there in the cold bit of the north? I mean, luckily those mint shakes from McDonald's will still be nice and cold for you. Yeah, I saw that. Although I was wondering how, I guess I didn't realize you had a green hat to you. But hey, we're all looking to get our props going. Dude, you're looking out for me. I know, and we gotta do a meetup at some point. I've been trying to push this thought of the Midwest meetup, and while my own personal biases would suggest let's do it in Michigan, that way I don't got to drive. But no, I'm willing to concede a little bit here. I'm willing to suffer for everyone. I can't believe I'm going to say this. Let's go to Ohio. Oh, that hurts a little bit to say. Mm. I threw up in my mouth a little bit. I'm convinced now. I have kind of come to the conclusion that I think that Quebec is just the Ohio of Canada. Exactly. Yes, Cedar Point. There is stuff to do there. Well, that's a thing to do. Because there's nothing else there. Don't they have like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I don't know. I would just try to think of some things. Otherwise, it's like, oh, we're gonna go to like the big mall down in like the Great Lakes Crossing or something. I don't know. Like it. It's something I gotta figure out. Well, actually, it is getting to be about that point where I think I need to start having some thoughts about the summer plans. Uh, work has been kind enough to give me some time off that I can cash in, and there's no time like the present to start planning ahead. So I don't know. Maybe it might be worth taking a couple days off and take a little road trip. Maybe I'll actually go make that trip to Texas, or I don't know. Maybe we'll do Cedar Points. Oh wait. Uh. Would Cedar Point be good? I say this because to let you all in on a little secret. I've never exactly been the biggest roller coaster guy. And there it is, listless. Again, it's one of those things I've always had that little bit of an issue. I'm like, oh, I, I, I've never really been able to do roller coasters. So Cedar Point is fun, but also I haven't been there in like, 15 years or so. I think I was a teenager the last time I went. I'm like, I think I'll kind of keep my feet on the ground. I'd rather go to like the water park. It was always where I preferred. And even there, they had like the odd like kind of water coaster thing that I eventually kind of got on. Look, it's kind of ironic. I like my big robots. The thought of just flying around these things fast, but just that thought of the drops and the turns and the twists that you would more than likely have either flying through space in one of these big things or in atmosphere. It almost sounds it's something that you would think that like I would probably be hesitant of, but it's like no, that's a little bit different. That's something we'll enjoy. I'm gonna make myself like it. But anyway, what a week it has been, and what a week it's going to be. Uh, I have been doing a bit more game stuff. I've been having an ongoing game going on where we have been playing every Thursday nights over in the Discord where I run Old School Essentials, which has been a lot of fun. The players have been pretty happy with that, pretty content, and it has been a bit of a change for me to try running. I'm not running a game where there's an overarching narrative. There's no final encounter which is gonna in which all these sessions are building up to this big grand battle like you would expect out of I don't know, like how the MCU sort of built up to Thanos. We're not really doing that. It's more of a where the players want to go, the game will unfold, but it's also operating in real time. And this has been a little bit of a different challenge for me because sort of what I feel like is almost a natural instinct that's come along thanks by and large to the modern gaming sensibilities. And you'll see this from the likes of your Matt Mercers, from your, Critical Roles, where there's an almost semi-scripted essence to the games, where you could sort of feel the beats of the campaign unfolding. Uh, I don't, which isn't to say that it is scripted, because I do think they're letting kind of dice to their stuff. Oh yeah, this was something I had picked up with like a wolf and raven on it, and a moon. I kind of like it. It's been a interesting experiment for myself. Uh, I'm incorporating a calendar into how I run the game. So if a player is injured and they're going to need, say, a week and a half, 2 weeks to recover, that character is effectively out. You better bring up another side character around, and by the way, they are going to be the level they are when they come in, so they're not getting leveled up. You have two characters you can juggle. You can have them go do totally separate things. It's a style I'm trying to experiment and learn, and I'm having fun. I'm having fun with it. There's a sense of letting the players control the game and letting things kind of play out as they will. Then this weekend, I said, hey, I'm going to take all these books, all this stuff that I've been doing. I'm going to shove this over there. I'm going to come over here and do something else and entirely different, because I'm going to play Transformers. Which, by the way, yes, does have a role-playing game. And it's got a bit of a 5e ism to it. Let's see. Just have permadeath, no pussies. There is permadeath. Like, I don't necessarily have. Well, the one thing I do, the one nicety I do have for my players, if they hit 0 health, the party has until the end of the session to give them a healing potion in order to revive them. There is a chance to revive them, but the monsters may not necessarily let you do that. Let's see. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little too lenient. It might be something I might need to kind of reconsider, but maybe it's something I need to reconsider for myself. Woof woof, everyone. Hey, Hound. Yes, oh, guys, yes. Those are some of the most memorable moments. It's giving that character that sort of farewell, and perhaps the GM will let you will let you be nice enough to sort of kind of set a scene for how the character dies, where it's like the character's gonna die here, but you get to kind of go out in a blaze of glory. And at the end of the day, don't we all sort of want that? Isn't there a part of us somewhere down inside where you sort of want that, ultimately, that Warhammer 40K death of just unending forces that you are gonna hold off, to the last minute on? Hang on. Oh, that's what that was. Sorry. Sounds in the background. It's the blaze of glory. There is something to enjoy with it. Let's see. And the remainder of the chat, up to including this, needs some hugs. Island has one. Island has one. Yes. For all intents and purposes today, I'm going to propose that the Zaku is in fact the official Gundam of Ireland because it's green, and also because I don't have a lot. Well, wait, no, that's Scotland. Shit. I don't know. We'll find a Loch Ness monster robot. Ireland, Scotland, same thing. Well, let's see. Which mech is drunk? I should be the Irish one. Oh, we'll just drag a potato around. They won't know the difference. Oh, potato, potato, potato. So, since I did kind of put a Zaku in the thumbnail and kind of tease it with the thumbnail and the title, we did get a little bit of Zaku news this week. And well, actually, this was last week, but I totally missed it. There is, well, actually, last week I touched on a collaboration with McDonald's and a certain Vocaloid, one Hatsune Miku. And as it turns out, that McDonald's is in fact not the only place that Miku is going to be showing up with, because we are also getting a Gundam collaboration of all things. Here we go. Let me pull this up. Let's see. March 9th marks both Miku Hatsune Day and Zaku Day, making it the perfect occasion for this special collaboration. The real grade Zaku 2 is now presented in Miku's signature color scheme, blending the world of Miku and Gundam in a striking new way. This is going to be one of those like Japanese-only kits that are going to be in a lottery-based system. But look at it. Don't you kind of love it a little bit? Like as great as it looks in green and red, there's something I kind of enjoy about it as well. Like to the point where like even the chest, the center chest piece itself is also kind of like the Miku tie. And it's that weird blue green shade they put into it. It just kind of reminds me of like gummy candies. Also, like the proper skirting colors. The more I look at it, the more I'm finding little things I enjoy about this. These vibrant colors for sure, right? Oh my god, look at this thing! It's great. And instead of having the red mono ice, you gotta have the blue. It's gotta have that same matching blue. Do we have any more of this? Let's see. Zakude in Japanese, 3 can be read as za, a stretch of san, and 9, which read as ku, zaku. Similarly, 3 and 9, miku, can be read as miku. I love it. I love it. It's got some own little custom stickers. This is my Sunday go-to meetings Gundam. Look, look on Sundays you wear your go best dressed, and so you might as well dress up. And he does. He's got a little leaf blower attachment. We could probably work on a 3D print design to give it a little hose. We can kind of like go and fabricate a new backpack. And then you can have a real leaf blower. It'd be great. But on top of all that, they also have some other stuff kind of they're teasing, like with their lottery system. With, as always, Japan's big on their lottery system. So you can always, like, you may not be able to get the big chase item of the Gundam, but maybe you'll get the acrylic standees. Or maybe we'll get like this little SD Miku's. Why is it doing this? Apparently for some reason it likes to try to change over to. It likes to change my inputs. I have no idea why I started doing this. I gotta look into that. But that is a problem for future me. Future me is gonna have to deal with that, and future me is gonna try to figure out what's going on with that while he has so many other problems to deal with.
Get the flamer. The heavy flamer. My abilities may manifest.
The heavy flamer will solve all my problems. It purifies, it cleans, it leaves no mess behind. Yeah, life happens. That's the family. That's family for you. And it's just kind of accept it all in stride. You know, I did hear about this too. The supposition that we're going to get a new Starship Troopers, and I'm a few minds about this. Paul Verhoeven got about one chapter into the original novel and threw it in the trash and said, no, this is dumb, and he wanted to make a film that was a parody of fascism, only he didn't understand what he was doing. He still made a good movie, though. And frankly, I'm kind of afraid of what this movie would look like today, because everything that's been going on with films, I don't have a good trust for what we could expect out of that, because the temptation of modern Hollywood, of all these people involved. I mean, look at what's going on with look at what's going on over with the Snow White film, right? Snow White is unfortunately in the middle of a bad PR like nightmare that's largely been all because of Rachel Zegler. And everyone involved is trying to work around this. It's it's so frustrating, though, because there's so much temptation you could expect out of a film like this, where they want to where they would want to equate it all to Orange Man, to say, oh, the big bad Orange Man is going to do all these things about the film. He's going to do all these bad things. We got to make this movie a commentary on him. And then by the time the movie comes out, all that stuff would be 2 years out of date. Or if they get further delayed, he'll be out of office. It's like, who would want to watch an anti-Trump film in 2029? Like, by that point, he's been out of office for 2 years. He's not the president anymore, and your movie's now horribly dated. They have the issue of ultimately trying to comment. There's this fear that they would want to take it as an opportunity to go and commentate on modern politics, as well as the way the internet age is ultimately speeding up to where all of these interactions have to be done so fast. Boom, 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 boom. Like, I'm trying to look back and think, like, what happened last week? And shit, I kind of can't remember what were the big headlines last week. Does anyone remember what was something that happened last week? I'm like, half the stuff I'm like, I kind of remember looking over some of these stories, but I don't remember what happened. Yeah, it is Hollywood, and the book, I enjoyed the book for what it is. I know it's been a staple of reading of places like West Point for years and years. It's a decent little like insight into sort of a fairly libertarian military, where they actively go out of the way to encourage you not to enlist. We're going to make sure that the people at the recruitment center are, disfigured, are injured. You get to see all of the downsides of enlisting. The fact that you're putting your life and limb on the line, and you may not come out of it intact. There is no forcing you to do this, but but ultimately it's on you to make that ultimate choice. But we're going to make sure we keep asking, are you sure? Oh yeah. The pilots were great. The soldiers were great. You always kind of want to be that big act, in a way. It was sort of that wanting to be that big action hero there, getting to save the day, getting to run around and, fight the bugs. Which, it's always so funny to see how so many people either just don't understand the film, or try to moralize literal insects when you cannot reason with them. They exist solely to kill you, to consume you. There is no persuading them. You cannot empathize with them, because the only thing that they would agree with you on is you're tasty. It's not going to end well for anyone. That's what bugs me on. Yeah. So you have so many people always turn around and looking to it. You got people who either misunderstand the film or say they don't think it's a good film because they see it as sort of a like jingoistic propaganda when it's ultimately just a big parody of all that stuff. And it's also kind of like we'll have a laugh with it along the way. You know, our heroes are going to go along and fight. Of course, mind you, this is all based on this is the movie talking. Which, by the way, only watch the first one. There is no 2. There is no 3. We don't need any of those other ones. It got dumb. It's not. The problem is to be able to keep going forward with that, to be able to keep pushing this story of the war forward, they had to do a big tonal shift. What started out as sort of this kind of I guess jingoistic propaganda take upon a world of those, the propaganda, films. They then go into like the second one, the third one. They get away from that and they try to make it all dark and sinister, and you get all those dark twists when none of that is what this franchise should be. You lean into the cheesiness of the propaganda, which is why all your heroes are these like incredibly like good looking, young looking, tough, fit guys who are just like fresh out of high school and enlisted in the military, and now they go on to be like these big leaders who always have a great line to throw out. None of it is really followed up in the later films, and they completely forgot that tone. And it would be like trying to lean into Dune and try to do a Dune sort of thing with it. Ultimately, I think the film works best if you lean into that kind of tongue-in-cheek narrative, that sort of slanted of telling. But you have to kind of be in it and enjoy it and kind of be in the scene for what you're doing. You cannot try to propagandize this and turn around and take the audience out of the film. If you do, it's not going to work. Plus, is there anyone we can really trust in modern Hollywood who's going to be able to do a good job? Because I really can't think of any good names right now that would do this well enough. Like you got to go down the ladder. You got to go into some secondary markets of, go to the B studio people. None of those. There's no big names that are really going to work for what this film would do. Or if they are, they're like 20 years past their prime. But that is the challenge, right? If you wanted to do a new Starship Troopers, what do you do? Audiences know audiences know the tone of that movie. It's gone on to become this cult classic. It's very beloved for what it is, while it diverged from the book in many a way. It's certainly not an adaptation of the book. And if you were to go that route, I don't know if audiences would be as inclined to enjoy it and go on with it. the audience are going to want a lot of the hokey, like kind of one-liners, that sort of last vestige of the 80s action kind of brought into this war movie. Oh, wow. I'm sorry, guys. Hang on. You know, I completely forgot to put the link out here for some people to stop in. I got kind of caught up doing a couple of run around a little bit, kind of like off, look over here at my other monitor, like, hey, is the 3D printer still going? It's got a little camera and I can watch it build. It's going to make noises in the background when it finishes its build. And I'm going to be like, what's that sound? I should go play with the toxic resin. Yeah. I'm sure that won't end well for me. Give me 1 second. Okay. Now then. Ultimately, there's the challenge. Starship Troopers is going to have to decide what it wants its identity to be. And is that going to go against what the audience wants? Because you're going to have an audience that is going to want, ultimately, that something along the lines of the first movie, which has its own tone. But if they want to try to be more authentic to the books, our audience is going to want to be there for that. And if so, how big are they? I suppose to help answer that question, I should probably bring someone in who's in the back here. So, folks, without further ado, let me play his clip. We have a Punkwaddle.
Yeah, I didn't wear my green hat tonight because nobody can pinch me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, plus they're pinching a penguin, so it'd be like a hate crime.
That's true. That's very true. I don't have any foundation as to why, but I agree with you wholeheartedly for some reason. Being that...
you just got to kind of grin and say it confidently enough, and people will believe it.
Well, I mean, people want to go after the sheriff, but if he's a cute penguin, then they're like, oh, no, I don't want to hurt the sheriff. Yeah, you seem to know a bit more of the lore on the
Starship Troopers?
Yeah, I did my part, right? I was trying to say the thing and the joke, and I couldn't. Never the two shall meet some days. But no, it's
I did my part.
Yeah, I did my part.
I did my part.
I did my part and bought the what was that game recently that came out that people were comparing it to?
Helldivers?
Yeah, Helldivers. And then I never played it. Which, surprise, surprise. Yeah.
Okay, so Philip, so to kind of bring the Helldivers situation into this, Helldivers is essentially it was an existing video game property that is like Starship Troopers, yes, like the hokey jingoism of Starship Troopers that we enjoyed from that film. We all the stuff about fight for Super Earth, etc.
All the hokey things they say.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. The issue was Sony wanted to pad numbers for PlayStation Plus.
Oh.
Because it's like a second party studio, and so there's some stuff around that.
Okay.
Listless, yes. You are fighting for democracy across the galaxy as you go into planets and kill a lot of bugs and robots.
Yep.
Really, what more do you need?
What else does freedom mean to you, right? killing bugs and
Freedom
robots.
isn't free.
Like and like you said, the classic of it, the hokiness. Like you said, it's the every character was like in the movie. Even Neil Patrick Harris, he was like the suavest nerd ever, right? These were all the football captain, the captain of the cheerleader, and they all go on to be these amazing strategists and brains, and it's like, yeah, it's hilarious and hokey. Yeah, iRobot would disagree with you, Listless. Are we talking about sentient robots?
I mean, the question is, are they holding a gun or not?
Mm.
So one of the other things I've been doing as of late has been a bit of delving into Warhammer 40k, and in particular factions such as the Necrons. So a bunch of alien robot skeletons with an Egyptian theme who all like had their souls eaten by a star god.
Okay.
They're pretty great, and also super freaking deadly. Like if their lasers hit you, you are essentially torn apart atom by atom.
It sounds like the version of Stargate we never quite got.
Oh god, that is another one of those great shows. Were you much of a Stargate guy yourself?
So I'll say this: I liked the movie for sure, and then so that was going to be around 25 years ago. That was around the turn of the century when there was really hitting their stride. So here's the thing. Here's how it played out, because I had some friends that were getting into the return of Doctor Who back then. And so before it was the sci-fi channel, you had the sci-fi channel. So you had Stargate, you had Doctor Who, and you had... It was the same thing like on network television where you had Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, early edition, something else in the middle, and then Walker, Texas Ranger, right? There was always that middle that was either Eureka or something padded, but we would watch that. So yeah, Philip's not wrong. And then Atlantis was fun too. Atlantis was pretty cool. So I had friends that were really, really deep into the lore, and then when you started getting the people from Farscape in there, you know, and I caught a bit of the early seasons, and I caught a bit of the later stuff too.
That was one of those sci-fi shows. I remember it was, oh god, I want to say I was still kind of in. It was in my high school years. I remember Stargate, watching Stargate SG-1 every Friday night. I remember getting to see the premiere of Atlantis and watching through that show when I was able to catch it, and having like the little TV in like the bedroom finally, so I was able to like catch it and like basically making my younger brother, who's shared a room with me. I'm making him watch it because I'm like, look, 8:00, Stargate is on. We're watching this.
Mm-hmm.
After that, you can go back to playing the PlayStation. I don't care. Stargate.
Yeah.
And then he set the carpet on fire with a candle.
During Stargate? Because that would be a very defiant revolt.
No, I think it was the next morning afterwards.
Okay.
It's like, this is for that. I'm like, oh. Of course. Decibel didn't like Stargate.
I was gonna say some revenge is a slow burn.
Yeah, he didn't like it. But Decibel, you gotta remember, this was also season 1. It's one of these things where these characters start out rough and they get good eventually. Like where the audience feedback will kind of help tell the writers to rate a character in. Famously, for example, over on the Next Generation, we didn't have quite the dynamic. Riker wasn't quite where he got. We did over in DS9. You didn't have Cisco quite to being the captain that he would become yet.
And some of those are choices. Some of those are just real of like when you're trying to build a show that could go on for seasons and seasons, you don't want to pigeonhole somebody so much, but you kind of have them as if you could have some of the main characters be kind of a fresh in the new, like Cisco. He's new. He's just been appointed, right? So he has a lot of new to figure out while you figure out the show. So you get to see it through his eyes, juxtaposition to the second Dread movie, which is like, you're just a day in the life, which are two completely different storytelling, but both has their place, right?
Oh, Dread is a great movie, but it's not a great adaptation.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, the way you tell the character, but no, like, yeah, go ahead. But
no, you're right. You're right. There is a matter of letting the characters kind of build up, where a character might start out unlikable, but has to be humbled, has to be made better by the course of the show. And for all the faults of especially early season writing, a lot of these characters will go on to become fan favorites. Amanda Carter was a beloved character.
Oh yeah.
Personally, I was always a Daniel Jackson guy, but yes.
I was gonna say, like if you just look at Teal'c from the first and second season, he's just stiff. He's just like, okay, and then all of a sudden he's wearing baseball caps and he's blending in, and he's Joe Suavo, maybe not quite. He's still a little bit stiff at times, but he's much more relaxed. His interactions are way, like, they almost seem like he's turned into a different person, basically.
I mean, once he starts getting some new habits in him, he turns into a God. There was some great comedy to this show.
Oh yeah.
Like, do you remember when they had the little wrist pad thing that was like causing them to go super super fast?
No.
Right. So there was some bit of alien tech they found on a planet.
Okay.
And it would allow them to act incredibly fast. At one point, it was at the point of, I think Amanda Carter had typed, thanks to the device, was typing faster than the computer could even keep up. Or, in Teal'c drink coffee.
You had that one prepped. Nice.
Mm-hmm. They're like, look at him like, isn't that... Everyone's looking at him in astonishment. Isn't that hot?
Mm-hmm.
Incredibly.
And let me tell you, I love the use of a deadpan, of just lack of. I don't want to say lack of affect, because people might take that I'm trying to say that they're a sociopath, but they're not. But there's something about that formal computation brain, engineer brain, that just and we could do a whole conversation on that, but it's so fun to see that play. And then you have, well, the guy who started off as MacGyver, but in the show, you said him.
Well, that's Dean Anderson.
Right, but the guy who actually played him, the actor that actually played him in the TV show.
Oh, his O'Neill character.
Oh, yeah. Well, it is. Yeah. Right.
Well, another example of that is also, and I think for with the Teal thing in mind, Leslie Nielsen.
Mm-hmm.
He was this, this leading man, very serious type of actor
Mm-hmm.
who would have been the perfect person to just drop these like stone cold comedy lines like in Airplane.
Yeah.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am. Like, yeah, and I love that dry slapstick. It's just there's so much to it, and it's really. And I've had conversations with people like you really have to be paying attention because some people and when you're doing it this way, you don't want to be too cerebral or too follow along. But there's just those subtleties that if you're paying attention, you'll get.
Mhm.
If you're not paying attention, you'll get half the joke, and it's funny. But if you're paying attention, you'll get like even more of the joke, and then you realize how it's actually interconnected to so many other things and cadence and just all the subtleties. You're just like, oh wow, okay.
That's that's what they were going for. I see now.
It's so fun.
Mhm.
I mean,
Why can't we get good movies like? Why can't we get good movies like those anymore?
well, I think I know people are tired of the word paradigm, but there's been a few paradigm shifts. There's the physical comedy, the slapstick, just the simple stuff, like the Three Stooges, which we go back and forth being like, oh, that's juvenile, or that's so actually intelligent and funny and like intentional, to, oh, it's just silly. We need to be more nuanced or crass or vulgar. And I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, but like, there's this whole thing that, like, I think, and I know some people don't think Adam Sandler's funny, right? And I don't necessarily think everything he's done is funny. But if you go back to Happy Gilmore and you go back to Billy Madison, the ensemble and the stupid, absurd slapstick with some juxtapositions to something intelligent, something trying, something that's actually alliterates to something more profound and more structural, right?
Well,
You can't have the riffing of jokes without a solid base. Otherwise, it loses its weight.
I mean, those. It's ultimately about the delivery, and there's an art to writing jokes.
Right,
Like,
but it's
would
Iron
would
Casper.
would
It's
yes.
DiGiorno, not delivery.
Oh,
See? Anyway, go ahead. Please continue.
there was no I think there's no joke that landed better in Happy Gilmore than where he's like, where Shooter McGavin is talking his shit, and he's like, I eat pieces of shit like you for breakfast.
You eat shit for breakfast? Yeah.
No.
I also agree with Agent Decibel that the day I discovered UHF, it changed my life.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, Decibel great. He has good taste in movies sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes.
Like I said, I agree with him on this one.
So, how do you feel about a Happy Gilmore 2?
I'm internally Adam Sandler screaming. I don't. In the same way that Tropic Thunder wouldn't work now.
No.
Happy Gilmore, like the hand joke is out of the question. Like Vengeance on the Gator, like all these things are just like all the Twitter bots that aren't real people would be offended.
I'm like, oh, you can't beat up Bob Barker. Well,
Mhm.
no, he's dead.
Mm.
No, what they actually hypothetically, well, it's happened. They're filming it, whatever.
Right.
Hypothetically, what we should do for this one, it's well, obviously we can't have the Bob Barker fight.
Right.
It should be Drew Carey.
That's exactly where I was going with that too. Like
And
a 1-for-1 in modern day, and just see how it translates.
or oh no, what if instead we get the celebrity thing where we put Drew and him together, but instead they actually get along. They're actually really nice. And then what happens is, someone says something about, at some point he's like, I kind of like your, I think you do the show better. And then Drew gets and then it turns into a fight where they're arguing over it because they kind of alluded to Bob in a way, and Drew turns into a jerk and throws the first punch or something.
Didn't Wayne Brady do it for a minute? Or was he a different game show?
I know he did another game show.
Because it would be funny if they had like other game show hosts and they get in with some, like have some allude to that.
Yeah, it's something that would be interesting to chat.
Mm-hmm. What you said.
Exactly. So over on my other monitor, when I was busy doing things, when I was totally hard at work and not distracted when I should have sent the link out.
Sure.
Something kind of came across my desk that I'm a little tempted to pick up and print off now, because I can. Now I just got the new 3D printer, and I'm like, oh, I want to go get all these like models and make these.
Yeah.
And I came across one that feels a little familiar to me, and I want to see how you I want to see what you think.
Oh. The Reaper of the Keep. Oh, the Penguin is a keeper of secrets, and he's got a little mohawk.
He's a little penguin with a mohawk. It's calling.
It is. Oh, and I'm gonna say on a side note, thank you, Agent Decibel. I knew it was something like that. Like, I just couldn't think of it. So, obviously, I have a thing for penguins, right? So I went to a local little game shop that sells games. They do use some new, but mostly used. Like, so they have some used comic books, used pop vinyls. They have some DVDs, movies, anime, manga. So it's like and they even have a few Gundam and a few other model kits, right? So there's some Bandai stuff. Every now and then I'll find, like, I found some of the grunts from Witch of Mercury that I actually like over there. But this time I didn't know I needed this in my life. But there is an Evangelion blind box set. It's for like a room, like a gamer room theme. And so it has a chair. It has like slippers, a desk, computer, monitors, keyboards, all this stuff. Like, it's basically to be this little gamer corner. But the only character it comes with is Pen. And there's a Pen, and his section of the room, his box, comes with Pen and a little fridge, a beer can and a smushed beer can, and a package of hot dogs. and I shook a few, and I got Pen on my first try.
Nice.
So he's gonna go with my collection, because I have a little Piplup and a few other penguin figurines that I've picked up over the years. But no, that penguin, the keeper of secrets, I like that guy already. What was his name?
It was just called Pesto, Keeper of Secrets.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe I think I might go ahead and order that. I might just go ahead and buy that this week, and I'll print a couple of those off, and maybe I'll send one your way.
Sweet.
And snacks.
That looks so cool. Not gonna lie.
Mm.
War Waddle.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh! It's like I've been going down a little rabbit hole. Yeah, as we always do. Yeah, we love to keep finding our little like we love to go off the beaten path and keep finding new little things to check out. But now I'm starting to look around and I'm like, oh cool, I could go ahead and 3D print up all these little minis, and there are so many people making these like hyper niche things out here. And like I'm looking around like, oh, what else could I'm going on these websites. I'm like, yeah, let me type in penguin. What else can I find? Here's the penguin as a penguin. Oh my gosh! Like I basically pick up like a little army of like penguin soldiers and basically play Warhammer 40K. It's a bunch of penguins.
Nice.
We have a little penguin army, and I can paint them all to be little Punkwaddles. Oh my gosh! This one's mech animals. Hang on.
I don't know, man.
Let me pull this up. So I am going down just more rabbit holes of like, here's more shit I don't need but want now suddenly.
Oh, the ever growing market of. I'm gonna say this. I had a friend that I've always had little. Oh, those guys are fun. I've always had little fun trinkets, little figures, this, that, and other way. And in college, we were living in a house that was like 100 years. Oh, nice. We were living in a house that had been like around for 100 years. It had built in, like one side had been redone, and the other side was the old. Still had the fabric on the wall, and had built-in shelves. And my buddy was like, I had a few books and a few different things. He's like, yeah, he's got knickknacks. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you've got all these little things and all the it's like figures and decorations. And I was like, yeah, that's fair. But I love the little, like I said, figures, toys, mementos, all these things that are just really, really fun.
I mean, they're just each one can have its own little bit to it. Like you might stop and it's like, yeah, this is kind of a cool little character. I'm like, hey, this Common Rider, like I like the show. This is from a bit of a niche show where I don't just have any old like Iron Man or Spider-Man sitting out. Though I do have some.
Oh, for sure.
Like, yeah, we'll just actually what can I grab down here by my feet?
When I find little anime penguin things, I try to snatch them up. I have a few other animals that I like. Cool. Yeah.
This was the action figure line. The other foot fell off him, but
oops.
This is still like the Mermaid Gundam. I mean, come on, like like, look, he turns into a fish.
That's pretty cool.
Or like the love about it,
or Beast Wars and all that, and oh yeah, I think Zoids. I found out that they're big Zoid mover, like the big, like everybody get the big moving vehicle is a giant penguin.
That's perfect.
I don't think you can buy it. I don't think they actually made a kit for it, but I've seen the artwork and that's really awesome. Like I want to get some. I would love to get some artwork and just have rooms, the whole house dedicated just penguin stuff. I don't think Sugar Waddle would quite approve, but maybe I can just get a wing. Get it?
Oh, ho, 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 ho. But all things considered, it was a pretty good weekend for me. How about you? Did you do anything for St. Patrick's Day?
Not really. There was one of so one of the local breweries was doing the green beer thing. Buddy and I, we just we went to a we did go to a brewery and they were having green beer, but I tried their Irish red and then I ended up having their amber, which was a little bit maltier and it worked better for the time being or what I just eaten. But um, I've outgrown the need to have excessive amounts of green food coloring in my body.
Well, I mean, the RFK's can go and outlaw all that, so we'll see what happens.
Oh yeah. Well, maybe I should have drank as much as I could now before they get told I'm not to, because I'm still a punk ass kid at heart. So if you tell me no, if it's just moderation, but if it's like I can't have it, well then I want it. Dang it, I'm still that compulsive. You can't tell me what to do.
There you go.
Okay, I'm in. What is it? The Beast Box. Are you familiar with those little mech toys?
I have seen those. Those are kind of neat. They're like a little, go ahead.
Yeah. So I remember there was one of the guys who did Gundam stuff for a while reviewing on YouTube, like Charlie246 or something, or 426. Anyway, I think he still does, but he started doing other premium Bandai things and other, maybe some Kamen Rider figures. It's not super high quality, but I appreciated. He was one of the guys that, like, on a P Bandai kit or a Build Fighters kit, he would actually go through the sprues that you didn't use and be like, this kit, you actually have half a Gundam, because of the way you gave separate parts. So it's like, oh, if I want a custom or if I want to just use those colors with a kit that has the same, like it's a different Zaku or P Bandai is something, then I can really mess with it, right? And keep these colors to the side. I don't have to paint them all. Maybe the extra $10 might be worth it, right? So, but he was doing some of that. They have a penguin line, and they actually have the clear version as well. If you I haven't seen that one.
Adorable.
They are. The one that I have, it's basically 4 little penguins and they're little, like 4 little pillars that stack next to each other. And then when you take them out, they break apart. Actually, you might not know, but in my very first, or in some of my Ice House videos where I had the little background and I had the little Q-Bird with the speech bubbles, if you go back to those, the background is those 4 penguins in a line and like little pillars in the back in that stream or in that background. So I had my little penguin guard there.
Because I know that in the past, Beastbox has also had the odd little, like, one for the Predator, one for the Alien, one for the Power Lifter.
Mm-hmm.
Also, look at these ones.
Yes, and I think I might have picked up an owl or two. Okay.
They're really neat for their engineering, just the way everything, where the whole gimmick of the line is they break down into a little tiny box.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so do you remember in the 80s and 90s they had toys that would like flatline into just a little bit. It was like 2 or 3 credit cards, like a little credit card style wallet thing.
Oh yeah,
and so,
I assume you're not talking about the cassette bots.
No, I'm talking about like other things, kind of like, but similar. But like, I had one that it was. They have some of them like those pull string toys where the zip line. So like you take it out, you unfold it, and then one was like a motorcycle, and popped out its handlebars, and then you could play with it. And then when you were done, you could fold it up and stick it in your pocket. There was some really, really cool, simple but innovative stuff like that. And it just makes me think of all that fun, compact. Go ahead.
No, you're right. And there is something to be said for a lot of the 80s toys. There's a lot of great designs in there, which, yeah, sure, it was done to sell toys, but you look at the market now and they kind of wish they could go back to that.
I don't. Okay, here's the thing that I realized, and I know this is where Hasbro's now, in a nutshell, but like, okay, there were, like, the G.I. Joes, they didn't have super specific descript facial features, but they painted them, they made them look close enough to the animation that you were cool with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
In your creative mind. But then they started tried to get too real and way too real. And all of a sudden, some of these face molds were like, what on earth is that? That doesn't resemble a person. Then they're like, that resembles somebody with, like, the proportions are completely off. It looks like a completely different actor. And then when you call it out, they get embarrassed, right? It's why do we need these over extreme likenesses? Now, I get Hot Toys and things like that when it costs $200 and it's, or like what Andy Master said, like really artisanal, whatever you want to say, like a lot of effort goes into that, and they look really, really good. But for like mass producing, it doesn't. It just, well, it looks like, okay, when the toy you're selling brand new as a complete new final product, fresh off the line, the way it's intended, and it looks like you're halfway through that scene in Ark of the Covenant, you know, when the guy's face is starting to melt. I don't want to play with that toy.
No, it's very limited for the amount of scenes you're going to be able to get him in. In fact, ironically, he'll actually, as I started looking down some of the toy stuff, somewhat related. Do you remember that clip of Kamen Rider I showed you from a couple months back with the little tiny candies?
Yeah.
They you can now buy them dying.
The souls, the candy soul.
Mm-hmm.
How much? Where?
15 bucks. You have a little dead candy.
Oh, what are they called? I was actually looking at Big Bad Toy Store, as we said. Kamen Rider. Okay.
Gachizo.
Okay.
Actually, I think you're gonna have it in chocolate.
Nice. That's amazing.
It is.
See, once again, all these things, and like you said, I feel like the toys have kind of gone downhill, but these little figures like this, these sort of knickknacks have definitely soared, right?
Oh yeah. In fact, we're like all the marketing and a lot of the toys we're seeing, we're starting to see a lot of kind of these smaller independent people get into the game things. I mean, heck, look at how many of the YouTubers we follow who now have a stuffed animal of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Look at all of the VTubers that now have merchandise popping up.
When they're getting pops and Nendroids, like that says one or two things. Either they've arrived in pop culture, or Nendroids and pop vinyls have fallen so far, and they probably met somewhere in the middle. But
I mean, well, the thing is, though, with all of the entertainment we've seen really push out there, right? You have, thanks to the internet, we can have all these little smaller niches. We don't have the big central pillars like we used to. So you could have people who get treated like rock stars to an audience of like 10,000 people.
Yeah.
And there are YouTubers with 1 million subscribers who you and I have never heard of.
That's very true. Like, okay, so when you say cult classic, you think of Rocky Horror Picture or something like that, right? Or something cult classic sometimes is it aired like Firefly. It did okay, but then after it was dead, after people finally picked up on what it was, because it only aired for like 9 episodes on network TV, and then they got the push to make the movie. But like all of these things, like you said, like those were the cult classic. Those were the small niche, but comparatively, I think like what you're saying now is we're in a lot of cult classic niche. There's so much on the internet, and there's so many places where you can find what you're looking for and not know what else exists.
But also with the sheer amount of stuff that's getting pushed out into the market,
Yeah.
like there is a tsunami of just shit to watch.
Johnny or regular?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's like, heck, even what we're doing right here, right now. This is another little example of that. Like, yeah, it's not exactly. I don't exactly get big viewership. I know I've accepted that, but I'm still gonna come out here and do my thing. I'm loving this. This is fun. We're just hanging out, having a laugh, unwinding after a long day, getting into the swing of things for the rest of the week.
Yeah, I think I've told you that I really got into Gundam Converge, and there's a couple sets that I missed the course of the last 6-8 months that hopefully I can at least find a couple of the figures that I didn't get, because there's the Quests and the other Jaded. I can't always mispronounce these words. The Jada Daga.
Are we talking the little tiny like SD figures, or was this one of the series that I missed?
Oh, so I like the Converge. So those are little figures, but the Jada Daga, the two, the greenish one and the red one from Char's Counterattack, the ones that look like big birds. And if you're on there, it's Converge number 25 on Big Bad Toy Store. It's sold out right now.
Do they look like this guy?
Yes, those.
Yeah, I just gotta have one of these here.
I think I've seen that one before, and I think I mispronounce it every time. But yeah, so they have that one and Quest's red one, and I love those so much for that design. I don't know what it is about those big freaking birds. Yeah. Yeah, you got the HG ones?
No, these are the Misa action figures.
Oh, okay. 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 I think I told you. I have... Huh?
From 2001.
Nice. I did build the RE100 of the green one, and Quest is a P Bandai that I may have bought a long time ago that I still need to build, and then I need to build the Suzabi Verka, put them all three together. Now I think I showed a picture it's a snapshot on the Mechpit, but dude, the size of those, just the HGs, like the RE100s are huge. Like, you know how the Suzabi is huge compared to most HGs?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So on a grander scale, they're pretty big and they're pretty fun. But yeah, like I said, I've gotten most of the other series, and I've usually caught the pre-orders or there were some that I didn't want because I didn't care about the figures in there, but usually there's a couple that I really want.
Which, it's one of those. It's one of those challenges in trying to find that good fine line in order to, find the time. You can't go into like 17 different hobbies and be particularly good at all of them.
No, I feel like a lot of times, and unless you're a completionist, and God help you if you are, because it's not worth it. But like you start collecting one thing and you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. I'm happy with what I have. And then you find out there's this other thing where you get into a new franchise and they have these other things that are similar, and they're like, oh, and you explode and you buy a couple different things and you figure out what style you like.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden it's down the rabbit hole you go. And then you think, oh, there's the Converge. But then they have like the Desktop Army, which is really similar, but it has other, and there's other conversions. And before you know it,
you've completely forgotten about the initial hobby you were into. But
yeah.
With that said, I think this might be a good little place to kind of wind down. The audience are all kind of dropping and heading to bed, and I feel like I need to do the same myself.
Yeah.
But Punkwaddle, as always, I want to thank you for coming on out. You've you really do help give me something to look forward to on a Monday night as we kind of wrap things down.
Well, go ahead.
We never quite go in with a big old plan in place, but we certainly have fun finding our way to the end of these shows.
I'm here for the conversation, and I usually look forward to that link too.
Yeah, sorry about that again. I was like,
I'm just giving you crap because it was a fun.
Oops.
It was a fun retort, but no. It's always fun, and I like the banter with the chat too. You guys are all fun. If you're still here, you're still fun if you aren't here anymore.
So, Punk, what we got going up for you, buddy?
Well, trying to stay positive as per usual. So we'll see what things I come up with, and I always try to jot down notes and kind of figure out. Sometimes I kind of have a theme for the week if people have noticed that subtlety. But you know what? I'm trying to figure out, maybe do I, maybe get into a live stream or figure out if I do a live stream, that might adjust how many videos I make per week as opposed to doing effort on live streaming. So you need to kind of figure out how that works out, because I think there's a lot of people that would enjoy that as opposed to just the pre-recorded Ice House. Something a little more interactive.
You just got to get yourself out there more.
Yeah.
But that said, your link is down in the description. Maybe next time, I think for next week, why don't we sit down and we'll kind of start looking ahead a little bit for the anime season. I think that might be a good little way to go. Because, with the amazing shows we've had this season so far, shows like Shangri-La Frontier and Solo Leveling are just about at the end of them.
We can talk about that more, but I almost peed my pants on Solo Leveling, and I'm about to watch Shangri-La Frontier. And yeah, I know, even because Brandon had a last minute cancellation, so I showed up on Saturday hanging out with him. He's like, man, it's time to look at the shows for next season because it's about to start.
Which is so crazy to think. It's like this last 3 months really flew. In a way, felt like it was like the longest 3 months.
The beginning of the year and thawing out always does.
Yeah, that's what it is. But folks, I think with that we'll call it here. You can follow me over on Twitter at the Ironcaster, where I'll be posting the places. I'll be like, for example, tomorrow I will be on with Pop, Stone Loki, and Squeaky Mouse for a little show we do called Talk Hard, where we are talking about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh snap!
The 90 movie. We're going with OG.
Yeah, no secret keeper here.
No ooze secrets. No babies. No vanilla ice. Do, 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 do. But guys, be good out there. Take care of yourselves. Yeah, make sure you stay properly hydrated. Don't get too drunk out there. You got to go to work tomorrow. Life keeps going on, and we'll just enjoy it while you can. So until then, guys, be seeing you.
Mercy, good masters, please don't kill me.
I'll try and calm him.
Shut up, dear peasant, rest your head, or I'll let the sorceress kill your ass dead.
Amazingly, the peasant